No one to pick me up. And then some family said, come, stay with us for 6 months. The Matteras never knew where's their child. No one was contacted, worried. And then the street says, Manaka, Tlapoya, Riachobatla, Retautusa, come. We will shape you. The Roman Catholics did what they did. They made you go deep into the understanding mind of Catholicism. And they asked me, which one would you choose? I said, Francesco. I'll be falling a great saint of compassion. Later in my life, hey, hulle skiet my, ek skiet hulle terug. Hulle steek my, ek steek hulle terug. And in no time, Don Mattera's name was feared as the boss. So it has been a journey. I'll be 83 this year. But I'd like to say a few pieces of anger. The Mattera family had a 992 hectare property from the Italiano father, my grandfather. The Boer took it away because he was not a member of this country. They took everything. And then they put the stempel of colored on me. And my mother used to tell me, Muna pula mwanaka, Oscar dumela gore ba go etsa khalate. Khalata se motho, kinto. And then I heard what my mother said. And then this government comes, the new one. I welcome it with lots of things. And guess what? They refused to pay me out for 23 years because I am Don Mattera. I am not a member of their party. 23 years. So, am I bitter? Yeah, I'm bitter. Am I angry? Yes, I'm angry. But what about the millions in the street? The millions who sleep under the streets of this great liberated country. So all of that anger and pain is still in me. And then I have 13 publications in this country, 8 publications outside of this country, and not one is in the books of the schools for me. So who do you think I am? The Bible says, and he came among his own, and his own rejected him. When the power guy said, I see no crime in this young man, what shall I do for him? A voice in the crowd said, crucify him. Now who the hell is Don Mattera if they could do that to that one? Muhammad came and he had to run. So what makes us different to the biblical times and to the modern times? I am very angry, but I don't take it out on my people anymore. I take it out in my phone. I take it out in this work that you guys call poetry. No mortal may be able to save this motherland south of Africa. The bane of Armageddon. Do you guys know what is the bane of Armageddon? Stand somebody please and say. Jesus told these people, the time will come. Armageddon will come to this world. There will be a war of those among people, and that will be the end of that world. Go back and study Armageddon. So Don Mattera says, no one mortal may be able to save this motherland, South Africa. The bane, meaning the curse, of Armageddon appears to be directing its destiny. The sagacious Nelson Mandela may have saved the so-called whites from the justified wrath and vengeance of the indigenous people of South Africa for the long, painful centuries of bitter subjugation, economic exploitation, slavery, the usurpation of the land, its vast mineral wealth, and the mass murder of the people. But verily, did not that Lord of the world, God, preserve the life of Mandela to save the white folk and human lives in generally through his forgiving spirit? The question is, Amadaki, speak to you now. Who will save the so-called black people? And then I know who I am. I am not black. I had to be black to fight what the whites were doing about being black, about being white. And my poems did that. Sea and sand. My life, my land. God bless Africa, but more the south of Africa, where we live. Bless the angry mountains and the smiling hills, where the cool water spills to heal the earth's heated brow. Bless the children of South Africa, the white children, the black children, but more the black children. They lost the sea, they lost the sand, that they may not lose love for the white children whose fathers raped the land. And then one journalist who's dead now takes the word rape out and puts tuk in. And then they tell me about it. And I go to it. Hey, when you don't like whites, we need whites. I'm shy. I hit him in the room there. And I walked out. We were never that kind of people. And we can never become that kind of people. There's something of us that they don't have in Europe. And it's called Butu. And to live with Butu, it is our religion to have compassion and people. So maybe I was the wrong guy to be brought here. But maybe I am the right guy. Maybe I am the right guy to make you rethink who you are. No one ever is white. My grandfather, Italiano, Francesco, he said to me, Elio Donato, Elio Nono Blanco, Elio Italiano. I am not white, I am Italian. In German they are Germany. In Sweden they are Swedish. In France they are French. But as they become white. And they belong to the white race. And we lie and call people black Africans. Sis, what's a black African? An African is an African. And then the colored race, what the shit is colored race? When they are in Bangladesh, they are Bangladesh. When they are in Pakistan, they are Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When they come here, they become the Indian race. What nonsense is that? My leader that you are celebrating in there said to me, Mangaliso, my son is Mangaliso. He says, Don, there is only one race, the human race. Live by it, speak by it, and die by it. Today, you guys say your constitution is powerful, is beautiful. Sis, I say. You know why? It keeps alive the lie of raciality. It keeps alive the lie of being white. The Roman Catholics and others brought it. They paint Jesus the color of their face. They made God with a long white beard and a white dove and everything. And they played with that. They crucified people. So I finished with my sermon because I felt the day I die, it may be not long from now, one person must say he said something which was true. Because poetry is another thing. The despised and the tattooed for incineration. If ever I was pierced by colossal human travail, as a boy reading books and watching movies in the ghetto, it was for the coffles of chained slaves and for the hapless victims of the Holocaust. I used to go to bicycle and I saw what the Germans used to do with the Jewish children. Put them and roast them, kill them. And I said, what kind of people are these? But now, the pangs, the pains, the anguish I feel, the misery, the deaths, the shame I see, burning through the adult me, the wandering nomads despised, unloved, unwanted be, is for the plundered people of Palestine, unsheltered, homeless, alienated, vanquished from the ancient motherland, walls barricading her brooding soul, battered, bruised, but unbowed, uncowed, unconquered be. But sadly, in Palestine, they put dynamite on their bodies. They use children to do that. So it is a long journey that I have seen, and a painful journey I have seen. One of my early pieces says, there is no pain quite like being unloved, unwanted among one's own, in one's own country. Will the tumor in my fevered mind ever cease its violent throbbing? Will laughter ever flow from the vein of my pen? Because there is no pain quite like being unloved, unwanted in one's own land. Go down to the bridges of Johannesburg. Go and see the people sleeping under the bridges. Go through the train stations. Go and see how they sleep. Go and see the shacks that are unending. And you say we are liberated. You say we are a free people. What kind of freedom do we have when we have no compassion? I follow Jesus, peace be on his name. There is nothing greater than compassion. Sobukwe told me when he was at the university teaching, abelungu nabanye, he says, Melody, Don, ungakhoshi, kuthi igazi lakho, igazi lami. Thina akasobukwe, nina bakaGawala, basibiza mamsukweni. Basibiza mamsukweni. Ningakhoshi. You are an African. Unless maybe they have a different party. They have been forgotten. We sitting here are forgetful people. We forget because forget has become a good chill food to eat. I was there, I conscientized them. Sea and sand, my love, my land, for them. Poems that pushed them to the front. We will not be afraid of guns. Come, and then thousands of our children were murdered. Not one Boer was charged. If you want to say a memory is a weapon, and then a memory is also a sickness when you don't use it. Go now. If Don Mattera doesn't speak about Sobukwe, wherever, they say, hey, King Obata, Ushil, is he really dead? Why are we here? So I have the poem for this man. I know I made a speech of poetry, but why not? Do you guys remember a woman called Miriam Makeba? Do you guys speak about her? Do you speak about her Africanism? Don't lie. Don't lie. None of you do. Because you have it good now. And you eat it good now. And you forget those who made their share. Page 24, let me go to my leader. 2 poems for him, Sobukwe. Guys, I want you to know, I had a hell of a spiritual love. His wife, this little boy, Thando, stand up, that nourished and kept him alive, their law that killed him. No dirges must be sung for him. No shrines must be raised for him to burden his memory. Sages such as he need no tombstones to speak their fame. Lay him down on a high mountain in Khafrinet, that he may look down on the land he loved, and for the land he died. Men feared the fire of his soul. Maburu feared the fire of his soul. And in our other organizations, they feared the fire of his soul. Mangaliso Sobukwe. Sizogqiba ngaye ngoku. Some people, they die and they are forgotten. And their name dies with them, but not Sobukwe. I have traveled all over the Eastern Cape, heavy. I've honored Oliver Tambo with a long epic poem, a long one, very long one, because I honored him and I respected him. I respected Mandela too. I have poems for him. But it stops. Today, they drive cars, heavy cars with bodybuilders, guys having guns, whatever you call them. And then the same people, they wave to us. They wave to us, only from that car. But they never walk in the streets. They never talk in the streets. So here we are now, with my last piece, untamed in life, victorious in death. Mangaliso Sobukwe. My eldest brother, Salza Bengu, and the others in Alexander Township asked me to help them with fundraising for the PAC. And it's another name for robbery. So we did what we did. We sent springs from cars to Amaxhosa to make pangas with them. We did what we did. And then he says, "Ungangikhohlwa mfondini, mandihambile tata Sobukwe." So I didn't forget him. I wrote, untamed in life, victorious in death. O bright star of Africa, it was your deep, undying love for us, for our land, for our continent, for shackled humanity that kept you alive on the island of damnation. Their fear, their law froze your breath, but could not kill the African dream. Sobukwe, morning star of Azania, bury him on a high mountain where plaintive seagulls and querulous quains still sing his name as people pass, and his spirit untamed, victorious in death, stirs the sullen sea that surrounds his cell, and waves, black and beautiful, gargantuan as hope, rise from the wide landscape of his giving soul, echoing the ancient unquenchable cry, set my people free, let my people go. Mangaliso, Sobukwe. Mangaliso, Sobukwe. Spirits of Sharpeville, who sought the rebirth and the renewal of trodden humanity, the renaissance of a glorious continent, this tortured place of slavery, this timeless cradle of civilization, your Africa, our Africa, Sobukwe. From the corridors of African consciousness, you, Sengo, Nkuruma, Nyerere, Lumumba, and the young Stephen Biko have poured love and wisdom like healing rain, and our hearts, yearning famished seeds, open up to catch the truth that you was given. Guys, I leave you with this word. Donato, my Italiano, Nancy. Life is a race. In this race, there is no medals that you get. There are no trophies that you get. There is no praise you get. It's on your marks, get set, ready, you will say go. The nun says no, not go. Turn around to see who you can take with you. This is Ubuntu. Guys, some of you have many, some of you have brains. Please worry about the children of tomorrow. Because the children of tomorrow are going to have hell in this country if you guys don't stand up and say no, not in my name.
That invited others to give him scholarships so that he can advance his education. And we know how far he went. And of course he taught African children with all his energy and commitment, unlike what we see today. We owe Sobukwe a debt of attitude, a debt of gratitude in as far as imparting education on our children is concerned. Today, the education system, especially of the black child, is a shambles. Up to 78% of grade 4 children cannot read with meaning and understanding in any language, including our own languages. And as we know, Sobukwe was passionate about language and also about his Xhosa, his own mother tongue. You move around, you hear people say, "Chief, we are in charge." We are in charge of the education of our children, from the president right down to the classroom. The ministers of education, MECs, directors general, superintendents, district managers, principals and teachers in the schools, parents at community level, and yet our kids cannot read and write. And we who studied under Bantu education can read better than the children who studied under the system that we run ourselves. And we would rather send our children to former Model C schools or private schools to be taught by Afrikaners, whilst we toy in the streets and leave our children to their own devices. The problem is not our children that they are not passing matric and they are not making it in education. The problem is with us, the parents, and the problem is here in our heads. We do not respect one another, respect ourselves, love ourselves and our children, and therefore we are unable to do the best for them. You cannot do something good for someone who you do not respect. A pig deserves a pigsty, and cattle deserve kraals. And so if we think our children should be where they are, that's why we dish out the kind of education that we are giving them.
True leadership demands complete subjugation of self. Absolute honesty, integrity, and uprightness of character, and fearlessness, and above all, a consuming love of one's people. This quotation from Mangaliso Sobukwe should be hanging in each and every one of our offices. We should be carrying a bit of that in our pockets. Because this message was meant for us who pretend to be leaders. Mufumadi, you were right, there are subjects that make us uncomfortable. We pretend we don't want to talk about them. In the meantime, we are squirming in our chairs. The land. Let's forget about the circus that's happening in Parliament. Let's talk about land. Do you remember the slogan of the African National Congress used to be, Sipuye,
Africa.
And the implication was that Africa must be returned to the African. But it ended up as a slogan that says, the land belongs to all who live in it. Both the thief and the victim of that theft belongs to all of us. Now, the matter the transformation from Sipuye, Africa, to the land belongs to all who live in it. I could take 30 minutes just talking about that. And the Pan-Africanists came up with a slogan that says, Izwe. You heard young Sobukwe here. Izwe. Again, the implication being that this is our land. And we shall do with it what we want for our benefit. Just before he died, Philip Kosana, some of you might remember him, said to me, I am rather amazed at so-called Pan-Africanists who shout Izweletu, but they can hardly look after their own gardens. What does that mean? We will complain about what the EFF is doing. We will complain about Patricia DeLille walking out of the, not being pushed out, that's all, of the Cape Town City Council. But we will not do a thing about our own oppression. We are not showing a consuming love of ourselves. And of our people. We went to Kempton Park, where we were duped into believing that we have attained liberation. Yes, nobody is going to ask me for a pass today. I can walk with some measure of freedom. But in the meantime, my children, my grandchildren are dying of starvation, mentally, physically, spiritually. Ma'am Vhonani, you spoke about some of the symbols that we should be looking at. What am I supposed to say to you, ma'am? We need a time to introspect and ask ourselves, when we said we were fighting for liberation, what is it we were fighting for? Was it merely to get into the shoes of the boss and get into his bed? And probably end up with his wife? I think it was Fanon who said that's exactly what we do. He declared his house into Masambundlo. The question that he didn't ask himself, that we didn't ask ourselves, was it moral to sit in this office earning so much money while people were starving out there? We forgot, we got into our big offices, and we forgot why we were in the liberation struggle.
1949, that the way he said that all we are required to do is to show the light, and the masses will find the way. Tonight, what I want to try to do is to show that light so that we all can find the way, because I really believe that we have definitely lost the way. South Africa today is one of the most unequal societies in the world. We rank #1 in terms of youth unemployment according to the ILO. Yesterday's SSA released the statistics which shows that 52% of young people in South Africa are unemployed. As Dr. Mangena already said, we spend most money in our education system if we compare to other economies that are comparable to ours. But our kids rank the lowest in terms of literacy and numeracy. This makes me ask a question, where are we going wrong? And when trying to search for the answers, I think it is logical to maybe look back and examine some of the ideas of our past African leaders, like Robert Sobukwe. My short presentation tonight, I titled it, Looking to the Past to Inform the Future, Reimagining the Education of an African Child. I focused more on the education. Themselves wants to be somebody else. It reminds me of a story that I heard about a young child who was asked, when you grow up, what do you want to be? And the child said, Umulungu. We can laugh, but it's really sad. Because this poor child is like somebody who's trapped in this black body, in this African body, whom he doesn't want. But unfortunately, he cannot get himself out of there. And unfortunately, even when he grows up, he cannot be Umulungu because it's not possible. But that's the kind of system that basically built us. That's what we are made out of. I mean, you look today, up in the northern parts of Africa, you see thousands and thousands of young men and women dying in the sea, trying to escape Africa. Africa is the continent that is the richest in the world, with all the resources. All the rich countries want to come to Africa, but us Africans want to run away from Africa. There's something very wrong with us. I mean, if I can just give a short example, when I grew up at home, my grandmother had clay pots. And to be honest, I used to think we are poor and very primitive and backwards because we didn't have aluminium pots. But then now when I look back, I remember that the kind of moroho, the kind of derere that my grandmother used to cook with those clay pots tastes much, much better than with the aluminium pot. Only if I knew, then I would be able to appreciate what I had as an African girl. I think that those who colonized us didn't want to do that. It's because it then basically goes against their mentality or what they wanted us to see ourselves as, thinking that we don't know, they are the ones who exclusively hold knowledge. Therefore, we need them to follow them. We need them to depend on them. Therefore, we are always basically following, which basically puts them on a comparative advantage. And then Tsietsi was mentioned, and some of us do know Tsietsi. But one thing that he said just after the Soweto uprising, when he was being interviewed, I think outside the country, he said the black students is fed with the kind of education that will dominate him to become a tool for the white man. Had the foresight and said freedom is meaningless if it is not accompanied by education. And this is the reality of South Africa today. And if I can add to his words, if it's not accompanied by quality education, because the stuff that we are feeding our children is not quality education, and that is why we are still where we were in 1976. My question this evening is, what have we done to dismantle this system since coming into power? South Africa was built on institutionalized racism. It was not just by chance. It was laws, people who sat and planned. And then when we take government, what did we do? Do we just sit and say, how do we dismantle this? How do we exercise this ghost of racism, which I think is still moving around in our corridors today? Then the issue that I also want to touch on is the issue of the mind. Thando Mangaliso talked about the mind. And this is where I think our greatest challenge is. The ultimate goal of colonization was basically to control the mind of the colonized. How they perceive themselves, that's why we hate ourselves. The relationship with their communities, that's why we don't love our communities. As soon as we get better, we want to run away from them and go to other places which are better. That's why we also don't take care of our environment, our land. Therefore, that is the issue. And Steve Biko saw this and said, the most potent weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. In Ngugi wa Thiong's book, Decolonization of the Mind, he said the imperialist continues to control the economy, politics, and cultures of Africa. And that system that they have left in is still running. It's on autopilot. We are all basically continuing with it because we didn't take time to stop and say, what is it that would be good for us as Africans?
To the land But for me, the land is more about the system. The issue of the land is more about the way of life. The issue of the land is more about values. Hence, I had to look at the education to say, what does education mean? One of the things that Sobukwe said was, education should service Africa. And as it has been said, education doesn't service Africa. You are taken to school to be something, not that you are already something when you go to school. That's a ghost. But another thing about a ghost is it haunts you. There's no getting away from this ghost until you take radical action. Radical. Sometimes it will even cost you your life. This ghost will haunt you, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Wherever you go, it's there, and you don't know how it got there. But it's there. Those are attributes, and if you look at the system, that is exactly what is happening.